Did you see the title? Yeah, I know, but I'm not sure it's a good idea. I had two major view spikes during my YouTube experience. The first was for a Minute Papillon on drugs, volume 2. The second was also a Minute Papillon, but on Dieudonné. But it didn't happen exactly the same way. No, the first was for drugs too. That started the rise, which then allowed me to make videos full-time for a few years. Thank you, drugs. Whereas for the Dieudonné one, it was an even bigger rise, but immediate. Going down afterward, I felt a bit like the algorithm had dropped me. And then a few little monetization problems too, it has to be said. So I have no idea how much it's related. Maybe it's all just in my head. I have no proof anyway. Conspiracy. Someone then recommended an interesting video on it, which is rare. Thanks, Joker. I won't complain since I rarely get suggestions anyway. And especially since this one made me think a little deeper. Still, I'm not sure if it's a good idea. I'm representing the cautious guy in case you missed it. Honestly, he's even less appreciated now. And today, everyone has a strong opinion on this subject. Some people love it and some people hate it. But now it would be cool if whoever you are, you could step back from all that a little bit. No.
I'm not going to the sides, I'm going straight ahead. I'm not going to the sides, I'm going straight ahead.
We're going to do like I tried to do in the PARADOXA, to take a little bit of perspective.
Well, yeah, with helium, like in Minute Papillon.
We should still be careful, because right now those YouTube channels are getting taken down one by one. So I don't know if it's a good idea. If things go wrong, I know what to do. A video about drugs. But it has to be better than that. That's not really drugs. Oh yeah, like the top 10 most dangerous drugs taken live? Oh yeah! That way you disappear instead of just leaving YouTube. Like my arm! Like my arm! Where is it? Where is it? Subtitles by Jeremy Diaz.
Why condemn Dieudonné and not Charlie Hebdo?
The right to secularism at the legal level, for the purpose of knowledge and debate, seems like a pretty good starting point for a video.
People often ask why Dieudonné was condemned for comments about Jews, but Charlie Hebdo wasn't for caricaturing Muhammad. Does that mean Jews are protected but not Muslims, creating a double standard?
Yeah, it's true that a lot of people were asking that question, and I was even one of them, but not with those words and not in such an exaggerated way. I think that's a bit disparaging, but I understand the strikers' demands. We can't afford wine, but I'm still looking forward to the answer.
No.
Oh, really? We've seen more nuance, haven't we?
No. Here's why. The law distinguishes between human beings on the one hand and things or ideas, for example, belief in God, on the other hand. French law considers that criticism of all ideas is free. So criticism of religions, gods, prophets, and blasphemy are allowed, but also criticism of religious practices, kosher or halal food, priestly celibacy, and so on. Charlie Hebdo was therefore prosecuted regarding the cartoons of Muhammad, but not convicted. The law allows you to satirize religion as long as you don't target individuals. Dieudonné, however, didn't joke about Moses or specific Jewish practices. He explicitly targeted Jews as people, and his remarks were considered incitement to hatred. That's why he was convicted.
But yes, it's clear. Insulting, calling for hatred against people. Insulting has nothing to do with criticizing a religion or, more broadly, an idea. So it makes sense that Dieudonné was convicted while Charlie Hebdo was not. So wait, Manuel Valls, was right to fight against the embodiment of hatred. Well, maybe it's time for me to make my political comeback then. It's strange because I remembered it differently. I rewatched the Turning Point sketch on Fogel's show. Did you see it?
You see, I'm not saying this because I recently converted to fundamentalist Zionism, well, for reasons that are purely professional for me, well, spiritual.
He only attacks ideas like Zionism and colonialism, both in his shows and interviews from that time. And yet the thing is, he got attacked for that.
Try to pull yourself together, join the axis of good, the American Zionist axis.
It does feel a bit visionary when you see that not so long ago. Trump, he preemptively accepted the annexation of Palestinian territories by the Israeli army.
It's an interview?
A small controversy as well around this comparison between the concentration camps under Hitler and what somewhat resembles them today in Palestine. It's sort of an interview, but isn't a comedian's job to speak up? He wasn't convicted for that even after many complaints.
So, is there a double standard? Are Muslims less protected than Jews? Is the justice system not doing its job properly? No.
The video is accurate. The justice system did a decent job. Dieudonné has never even been convicted either before or after for attacking Zionism, as far as I know, at least not directly. So where does Rocco come from in our minds?
Comparing Dieudonné and Charlie Hebdo isn't accurate. Let's discuss Brigitte Bardot instead. The former iconic actress has made many insulting remarks against Muslims. Well, Brigitte Bardot has been convicted 5 times by the courts for inciting racial hatred.
No, now we're getting off track. If we're going to compare, I'd say we can do better. For example, by comparing Dieudonné when he attacks Zionism and Dieudonné when he attacks Islamic terrorism and Islam. Don't mix things up. In one of his best sketches, The Fine Team of 11.
The attacks were moved to the 11th. I'll discuss the reward in a moment. Guys, look. Yes, but I mean, he's not ungrateful. There won't be any backstabbing. It's about trust too, guys. So in addition to the status of martyr that you will all have, all of you will be martyrs. Even the interns, everyone, that's automatic. In addition to the status of martyr, you will be entitled to 1,000 virgins per person.
So, isn't the difference the level of sensitivity and the level of counterattack from those who might feel targeted in both cases? And then I thought to myself that unconsciously, in the first video, there was something that bothered me. And I think it's the first sentence that made me flinch. Boo! You're stupid, what are you doing?
I'm making you flinch.
No, but you're a cockroach. I'm not a tick. Sorry.
People often ask why Dieudonné was condemned for comments about Jews, but Charlie Hebdo wasn't for caricaturing Muhammad.
But that's it. Actually, I never had in mind a double standard from a legal point of view. And, like many people, I imagine the double standard that I found shocking. Well, it's the one that happened in the media coverage and in the political handling as well.
But if believers feel insulted by a publication, they have every right to express it, or even to take the newspaper to court.
It's in the law. Everyone has the right to complain, and there are people who know about it. That doesn't mean that the court will necessarily convict afterwards. And in general, it does its job quite well. But when the media and its intelligentsia and even the ministers interfere in its work, you can suspect that the influence can be completely non-existent.
What an insult.
To see a repeat offender of hate put on his show in packed venues.
Let us never let these acts go unpunished, and may justice be relentless toward these perpetrators of hate.
Still,
So, where there may be injustice is that not all complaints seem to have the same impact. I don't know if it's, for example, the Roma community or migrants who feel hurt. You can imagine that, right?
Hello, would you like to file a complaint? May I see your papers? Huh?
What do you mean you don't have any?
Without papers. Okay, well, I'll check re-immigration then, and...
When Dieudonné attacked Zionism, well, that bothered a lot of people. It was a very well placed politically and in the media, so it made a lot of noise.
I remain forever connected to Israel through my wife.
But if he teased Islam, those 2 media endorsements wouldn't have mattered as much.
well, yes, but exactly.
And even for his criticism of Christianity in that same excellent show, except for a few specialized newspapers, he couldn't care less.
Yeah, there are more Satanists than Christians on television, right? Are we discussing the missing kids?
No?
And...
That's why what happened is unusual. Dieudonné was ostracized by the media for criticizing Zionism despite not condemning anyone directly. He was not invited before because he shouldn't have been. Laurent Ruquier confirmed he was given those instructions. This isn't a joke. And each newspaper cleared the way for its Zionist representative just to really bring down Dieudonné with, for example, at Le Point, the inimitable Bernard-Henri Lévy. It's crazy how many humanist philosophers start writing at that moment. As a worthy heir of Descartes, I would just say I think of my own interests. Therefore, I am acting in bad faith. Even though, in the eyes of the law, everything can be criticized in the same way, it's clear that through the media lens, that's not the case. And that's a real problem. They show us what they want, and we think we're clever. But instead of pointing at the moon, we distract you to hold your attention. Careful, things are changing. Take Black Lives Matter, for example. I'm not even sure how to say it. It doesn't harm the neoliberal globalist elites, but let's still give the black slave the respect deserved. And even more than to the white slave, I don't care. Anyway, respect doesn't cost anything. And at worst, I'm still willing to write a small check. Anti-colonialist movements such as Kemiseba's argue that France and its allies should stop exploiting Africa's resources, stop installing dictators where it benefits them, and withdraw their armies from a continent that isn't theirs. Nothing, no, I'm not saying anything anymore. Oh, no, shut up, okay? Oh, Bernard? Yes. We have to be the guarantors of peace throughout Africa, right? In this whole area where, let's be honest, they're not, we have to help them, right? Anyway, I'm off track. Dieudonné has some great sketches satirizing interference. Just nonsense, really. Well, at this point, I think I'm just gonna keep digressing. About Zionism, about the fate of the Palestinians, about Israeli colonial and expansionist policy. It's the same. Honestly, about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, don't you think the media have taken sides? No, and if, for example, I tell you what I think about the subject, well, not everyone is okay with that. Yeah, so the best thing is not to say it. From my perspective, both sides have war criminals and terrorists in this situation. The big difference is that when you say it to their respective supporters, well, on one side they'll say yes, but it's to defend their homeland, their family, their territory. And on the other side they'll say no, but it's to defend their homeland, their family, their territory. For me, it's some people's bad faith that made me take sides. Otherwise, honestly, it's crazy how bad faith is. It brings people together. But for the other side, no. There are other mistakes though. This time about Jews, but justifiably so. He was later convicted several times. I don't want to minimize these slip-ups. But keep in mind that he faced constant attacks for several years. Pushed to the edge by the media, deprived of his right to speak and of several venues as well, and even assaulted. All of that happened just because some people disagreed with his criticism of Zionism, even though he had every right to express it. This criticism, and that the courts never convicted him. Where he was talking about Zionism, many celebrities and political philosophers were accusing him of anti-Semitism. Confusing a political view with the people, so I can understand that one day he might confuse them too. In fact, Dieudonné later proved his critics right. But those who denounced him also later reinforced the fact that he was far from the truth. Hold on, let me make a quick aside. First to say that I think Dieudonné is more complicated than that. He doesn't really confuse the entire Jewish people with the extreme Zionist minority, which he constantly criticizes. Like I said, it's more complicated than that. And also something that seems important to me, even if I'm addressing an extreme minority of you here. I think given what's at stake, it's always interesting to do it anyway. You have to know that you shouldn't lump everyone together, you shouldn't put everyone in the same basket, you shouldn't lump all the Jews of France together, whether they're Zionists or not, because they have the right to be, obviously. It's a political opinion. Anyone, Jewish or not, can be a Zionist. And I believe that the majority of Jews in Israel, and certainly in France too, I think, are Zionists, if you really ask them. These people genuinely try to keep a low profile, especially given all the trouble they face. And I would like anything but to add more trouble for them. And so, not to confuse them with that Zionist minority from the Zionist elite, who allow themselves all sorts of baseness and wrongdoing to promote this ideology. And I believe they are the ones who do the most harm, because among these wrongdoings, they try to make people think that when you are against their Zionism, you are anti-Semitic. And so they lump all the Jews of France together with themselves so they can defend themselves. They use you, Jews of France, as tools if you're watching me. And then, well, yeah, I think they're a bunch of assholes. There aren't many of them. You can almost count them on one hand. But they're a real bunch of troublemakers who use past and even present emotions to try to push their political ideas. There you go. I wanted to make things better. I don't know if it worked. No, but what about all those questionable stances? Yeah, it's true there are some real doozies. But isn't it the role of a controversial comedian to flirt with the unacceptable? And what about those embezzlements? He loves money and is always trying to secretly sell things. But comparing him to Africans selling Eiffel Towers in Paris is racist. Oh, no, I didn't say that. No. It's true that he likes to make money, but he doesn't hide it. This shows that even outside the system, you can still have its flaws. But really, why chase money? If it's just so artists can divert funds to Cameroon. It's like chasing your tail But the real issue is his audience is full of anti-Semites. Dieudonné's audience in the 2000s was likely very diverse. There may have been some anti-Semites, but not more than elsewhere. Despite media efforts, housewives and those influenced by television quickly distanced themselves from Dieudonné. So at the shows, maybe we started to find more people who had distanced themselves from television propaganda and some anti-Semites, who might actually be, I don't really know, but let's say maybe proportionally a little more than elsewhere. But whose fault is that?
No.
I think as long as he faces consequences for going too far, he should be allowed to practice his profession. Besides, people who dislike it aren't forced to see him. Otherwise, there's clearly a double standard with Charlie Hebdo.
Since press freedom is essential, in a democracy, you aren't required to buy a newspaper you dislike.
Honestly, when it comes to Dieudonné, I think the person who talks about him best is himself.
I'm telling you, with the television here in the audience, I'm taking the opportunity to say it. You're the best. And he's always sincere in everything he does. Since he doesn't cheat, no matter what happens, he ends up winning. People follow him because he's funny and sincere, but then he strikes where it hurts. It's a shame people target someone like him, since we need him.
But he quickly changed sides, Jamel did, and lowered his pants. But like almost 99% of media personalities, because they had no choice or lacked the courage to make one. So, it's clear that there's an idea of what I think of the freedom that's being trampled somewhere. To be on television, you have to know how to wear the right costume, otherwise it looks bad. And above all, we have to protect the viewer. He's not there to wear himself out trying to make up his own mind, right?
Still?
No.
Even if we dislike Dieudonné, find faults in him, don't think he's funny or even hate him. Everyone is free, but what we can't take away from him, on the other hand, is that he opened the eyes of a lot of people. He showed us in broad daylight those crooks who rule us. These hypocrites thought they could hide this double standard from us forever. Now how can we not see it? The globalist stranglehold, and above all, the close ties between the media apparatus and the state. Q, right? Or an editorial journalist who gets close to a minister or deputy. Well, that's basically on their resume, right? It's the Copacabana party. It's largely due to Dieudonné that we've become the country most distrustful of our elites and media. Honestly, I think we were right to unplug the propaganda drip. We might still be a bit cautious about that. No, that's fine. It's good as is. We likely have more to learn from those who choose to stay wolves, risking hunger, than from dogs conditioned to proudly wear a chain. All that just to be well fattened.
Come on, my Jamel, give me your paw, give me your paw. Yes, that's my good Jamel. Come on, the other paw, the other one. What do you mean, you can? Oh yes, that's right.
Fool!
The day we sign the separation of media and the state and actually control conflicts of interest, I think we'll start moving in the right direction. Come on, let's moonwalk! Ouch.
Paradoxical!